I'm Francis Moore Lappé, and this is my second Thought Spark on courage. And I'm calling it "The Opposite of Evil is No Longer Goodness." So let me explain this. Our era has been called the Anthropocene. Why? Because we humans are now having impact on the entire planet. So I think it's a great time to ask, what are the primary traits of this super species with all this power? Now, many would say our primary trait is that we're self-absorbed. It's all about us. Well, I look at it from a slightly different angle. And actually, I believe strongly that we are social animals. We are pack animals like wolves or elephants. And therefore, we care most about staying in the pack, and we have a really hard time challenging it. So life on Earth as we've known it is in grave danger because the Hyperpack is taking us over the proverbial cliff. The Hyperpack, I mean those who are having the most destructive impact on the planet. The cliff of climate change, the cliff of extreme inequality where 42 people control as much wealth as the bottom half of us, or the cliff of murderous conflict over scarcities that we ourselves are unnecessarily creating. Now, in such a time, it is really important that we ask, yes, what are the primary traits we have, but also what are the moral virtues that we can learn, because we are learning animals as well. Now, many have long said that a primary virtue is goodness, of kindness and generosity, and certainly I agree. But it's time we elevate another virtue, and that is the virtue of courage. Because it is relatively easy to be kind with those in our pack, but do we have the courage to break when the pack is taking us to disaster? Now, courage then means often standing when no one else is standing, sometimes literally. Let me tell you a story in which I failed to do this and learned a great lesson. I was campaigning for Lois Murphy in Philadelphia, and she was running against Jim Gerlach for a seat in Congress. And one evening we gathered in a community center to hear the candidates debate one another. We settled in, and then Lois Murphy, my candidate, asked her opponent, Jim Gerlach, to apologize for robocalls that had linked her to the Taliban. And then I remembered, yes, earlier that day, a man had come to the door with a gruff-looking dog and said, "Are you with the Taliban lady?" So Gerlach did not apologize, and the debate proceeded. Now later, I felt great recrimination because I realized that there was something I could have done that didn't even occur to me at the time. I could have stood and said, "I am standing until Mr. Gerlach apologizes." And I bet a lot of people there would have risen with me and stayed with me. But I didn't even think of it because I think I, like so many, are programmed to go along, to not make waves. So that burning memory did, however, help me a few years later when I was in a situation where I felt really out of sync with the pack, to find my voice. So we can learn, we learning animals. We can learn from our gurus like Maya Angelou, who so brilliantly pointed out to us that indeed courage may be the primary virtue because we can't consistently manifest any other virtue without courage. So let's together fortify our backbones. We are, after all, social creatures. And to me, that is what the democracy movement is all about. that we learn to take risks of humiliation, risks of failure, by focusing together on solutions now that we can identify the dangerous track we're on that's taking us to so much self-destruction. We can come together and create new life-serving social packs, if you will. As I say, that is what the democracy movement means to me. It means that we recognize that in today's world, goodness in us is simply not good enough. That goodness without courage just doesn't cut it. But together we can find courage. Thank you for listening, and I would love your feedback on this core question of how do we build the courage we need to face the crises today. Thank you.